Are we about to experience another wave of mass layoffs? Stick around. In this video, I'm going to share my thoughts on it. Hey everybody, it's Brian from Life After Layoff. Today I want to cover what's going on in the labor market, specifically around layoffs and maybe what we can expect to see over the next few months. Unfortunately, there are some signs that we might be experiencing an uptick in layoffs. Now, that's after the first of the year. Typically, employers will wait until their year end. They kind of close things out, and then often we'll see a fresh wave of layoffs that will happen the beginning part of January. So not the best of news, but hopefully it won't be too deep. Nonetheless, we should take a look at what's going on in the market. So first things first, let's look at, this is a Newsweek article. It says mass layoffs are coming in 2024. Again, it's not the best of news to be hearing as we start the first of the year, but mass layoffs are in store for 2024, and it might affect nearly half of companies according to a new poll. Now, this is according to a resume builder survey with more than 900 companies that were surveyed in the month of December 2023. They're stating that 4 out of 10 companies say they're likely to have layoffs in 2024, which is prompting an increase in the fears of recession around the corner. And so we should be starting to be prepared. If you kind of feel that you might be at risk, this might be the perfect time for you to start kind of figuring out your game plan and taking proactive steps now. Now, this is not meant to be checking little skies falling or to incite kind of any fear, but we should be taking ownership of our career and starting to stay in front of this stuff. So we really should be paying attention to what's going on in the market. So one of the first major indicators is that Google is apparently planning a likely layoff of up to 30,000 employees with some new AI innovation. Now, keep in mind, they already laid off 12,000 employees last year, and they're continuing to look at where they can transform their business and probably the use of AI, which is going to be a double-edged sword. Now, AI can help you be more efficient in your job, and I think that there'll be some companies that will leverage AI to their advantage to help people remove some of the mundane tasks. But on the flip side, if they're removing a lot of the mundane tasks, that might make a lot of people's jobs redundant. So moral of the story here is make yourself invaluable, find skills that are not easy to replicate with AI, and try to dig in. Because I think that the AI thing is just going to continue to be a common theme throughout the rest of the coming months and years. This is not going away. It's only going to get bigger. So we've got to be proactive today. Don't wait until your job or your career in general is outsourced by AI, because companies are absolutely looking. I mean, we can kind of put our head in the sand all we want about it, but the reality is that employers are actively looking for ways to cut costs, and they are certainly going to leverage AI. It's kind of a low-hanging fruit. So be proactive. But as far as the layoff with Google is concerned, I don't think that there's anything been officially announced yet, but there's a proposed restructuring that is going to take place in Google's ad sales department, and they're leveraging operational efficiency, or leveraging AI for operational efficiency. So they're going to be continuing to look at, now I don't know if this is just going to be in the United States or if it will be globally. I would imagine it'll probably be global, but I think IBM has also done a layoff related to AI. If Google is doing it, we can certainly expect other companies to start looking at AI and how they can trim some of the headcount off of their payroll. In addition, there's also been an announcement by Barclays that they're going to axe 5,000 additional global jobs in a cost-cutting drive. So that's about 5% of their total workforce. Now, a lot of these layoffs took place in the United Kingdom. I think some of them have already been announced, but this is a global reduction. The spokesperson says that Barclays removed approximately 5,000 global jobs throughout 2023 as part of an ongoing efficiency program designed to simplify and reshape business, improve services. I don't know how that improves services by eliminating jobs, but nonetheless, that's what their spokesperson says. And it says that they've looked at selective front office roles in key businesses. So a lot of the people who've been affected were layers of management and front office support. Again, they're looking at improving its technology. And again, the key word here is automation capacity. So read into that AI. And they go on to further say that we will always modulate the size of our workforce everywhere in the world in which we are. And that's just what we'll continue to do. that they'll be looking for efficiencies in different parts of the bank, trying to make and create and run more efficient organization. And so you can expect us to look at all of those places where we can increase productivity. So again, keeping in mind, you have to make sure that you're taking the steps necessary today to future-proof yourself for tomorrow. We also see Duolingo is cutting 10% of its contractors as it uses more AI to create content for their apps. So basically what that means is that they are leveraging AI to help create some of the content, the translations, and they're retaining less of these contractors. Traditionally been contractors that they'd hired who would go in and translate some of the stuff. And I guess they're only going to keep a skeleton crew of some of these contractors in order to just check the accuracy of the AI. But essentially Duolingo is using AI to help create content for their apps. So it's not a great sign. If you're somebody that is doing gig work for Duolingo, you can expect to see them to continue to look at ways to reduce their cost. And it says down here that 10% of the contractors were off-boarded. A company spokesperson said on Monday, "We just no longer need as many people to do the type of work that some of these contractors were doing. Part of that could be attributed to AI." And it goes on to say, "Intense interest in the generative AI has led employee groups and unions to question whether the business will use the technology as an excuse to reduce their workforce." Furthermore, the spokesman said that the job reduction isn't a straight replacement of workers with AI, although the reality is that that's what it is. And then it says the intense interest in generative AI has led employee groups and unions to questionize whether the business is using the technology as an excuse to reduce their workforce. I mean, that kind of seems self-evident that that's what is happening. We also see like Chegg Incorporated, which offers homework help services. They probably use a lot of their the contractors as well. Also said in June that it would cut 4% of its workforce and better incorporate AI into its tutoring of students as they become more comfortable with chatbots. So we're seeing an uptick in this type of thing. Additionally, we're seeing like Microsoft, IBM have all announced this kind of thing. So this is certainly a trend that we're going to start seeing more and more of as we head into the latter part of 2024. Just taking a quick look at the data around layoffs in the United States, we've kind of seen, this is in the, just specifically in the US, but we can see that the layoffs are starting to tick up. Xerox has announced a 3,000 person layoff, is probably the most prominent one at the start of this year. Front Desk has also laid off 200 people. There's some smaller companies that have had minor layoffs, this is in the tech space. Now, if you're wondering if your company is potentially looking at a layoff or doing a layoff, you can check by the location, by the state, through the WARN Act. And if you're not familiar with what the WARN Act is, essentially any company who lays off a certain number of people, I think it's like 50 people, they have to give notice. They have to basically file it with the government, and they have to give an official notice. I think it's like 60 days. And so it's called the WARN notice. And fortunately, there is a website called the WARN Tracker, which you can go in and track which companies have announced layoffs or which are announcing layoffs in your local area. So I will put a link for this in the course or the video description. And if you go and search by the state that you live in, like here I'm on Indiana in 2023, you may have to search for 2023 because oftentimes they'll announce the layoff or post it, and then it won't be to a later date. So you can see like Bork Warner announced on the 19th of December a layoff of between 50 to 100 people, which took effect a couple of days ago. So when you're going through and looking at this, it may be worth you occasionally keeping this tracker handy, because you may end up finding out that there's going to be a layoff with your company based on this. And furthermore, if you're interviewing for a company, you may want to also cross-reference this to make sure that the company that you're interviewing for is not actively laying off as well. So I'll leave a link for this, but this would be something that I would check routinely just to make sure that you're on top of things. So the moral of the story here is that we want to make sure that we're taking proactive steps, because companies, like it or not, are actively looking at AI and how they can leverage it. And I just think we're going to continue to see more and more of this going forward. It is worth you looking at how you can start to make yourself indispensable. And if you think you're in a job type that is easy to reproduce through AI, I mean, honestly, a lot of you in HR jobs and a lot of data and clerical type of roles, companies are going to absolutely be looking at that, because they can replace a $100,000 salary with a free or near free chatbot that can do essentially the same work, maybe not the exact same work, but the work that's acceptable for them. And if you're in a job type or an industry that is particularly susceptible to it, You want to start taking proactive measures now. You don't want to wait till the other shoe drops, because you'll find yourself behind the 8 ball. And if you're competing with everybody else who's getting laid off too, it makes it that much harder. So be proactive. Take the steps now. Start getting your resume in order. Start getting your networking down. Learn all the tools that you need to. Start getting some of those, like reskill. Look at what skills employers are demanding and figure out a way to get them on your resume, because you don't want to be caught off guard. Anyway, I want to keep pulse on what's going on in the job market, so make sure you hit the subscribe button if you want more content just like this, and we'll help you navigate through the uncertainty of 2024. Appreciate you watching. We'll see you on the next one.